We got the Guardians up next. By the way, I'm not in on this topic. I'm all in. I'm all in. We're going to chase down on a wild card spot. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Guardians, man, going into the All-Star break. 6-1, 4.5 out of the wild card with the easiest strength of schedule coming into the second half of the season. It is easy. But first, we got to hear from Game Time. There is nothing like the energy of a live game, whether it's catching a last-minute MLB showdown or soaking in the excitement of an NBA matchup. But finding great seats at a great price, that used to be a challenge until I found Game Time. Game Time makes scoring last-minute tickets easier than ever. Prices actually drop as the event gets closer. And with their all-in pricing, you see the total cost up front, no surprises at checkout. I use the Game Time app every time I'm trying to catch a Guardians game. You save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Thanks, brother. You mentioned the Guardian schedule, man. They're in such a weird spot because when they're in their 10-game losing streak, it was obvious they're sellers. They cannot, they're out of it. And even as we speak now, there are only 3 teams in the American League with a worse record than the Guardians. Right. That happened in a hurry.
Right.
But however, when you look at their first 10 games coming out, they've got 3 with the A's. They've got 4 with the Orioles, who are both below them. Then they've got 3 with the Royals, which are big games. Then you get 3 with the Rockies. So to start the second half of the season, 3 of their first 4 series are against 4 of the worst teams in baseball. 3 of the 4 worst teams in baseball. Bull, does that complicate the trade deadline scenario? Because I thought they were rock solid sellers.
Yeah.
But as you look now, they're still 9th in the American League. And there's 5 teams ahead of them for the last wild card spot.
Right.
There's a lot of ground to make up. But when you look at that schedule and you look at their 6-1, and you consider that Shane Bieber's throwing a simulated, or I think he's throwing an actual game tomorrow, maybe.
Could they make the wild card? Sure. It's of course it's possible.
Yeah. They're 4.5 games out, I think, from the last wild card.
Would I bet on them making the wild card? I would not.
I would not either.
And I think you got to be realistic about your situation. Now, since we went to this 12 teams making playoffs, and especially in the American League, where like most of the best teams in baseball are in the National League this year. It heavily, like I think 5 of the 6 best teams are in the National League, maybe 6 of the top 7 right now. So outside of the Tigers, everybody in the American League's
mid,
like above mid or below mid.
You're right.
Outside of the Tigers on the top, and then you got the A's and the White Sox on the bottom. Everybody else is just somewhere near mid.
You're right.
And so I think in terms of the trade deadline, everything is going to happen the last day or 2.
You got to wait.
Because now the minor pieces. I'd love for them to move on from Santana to open up at bats for Kafis in the majors.
Right.
If you want to move on from Lane Thomas, I mean he's hurt right now. I don't know what you get for him. Fine. Guys that like that. They're not.
But we're talking about the gems. Like the big piece, I think, is Clase.
Yeah.
You would agree with that?
Yes. I don't know that they'll trade Clase anyway because they've obviously you might wait till the offseason. But to me, in 2 weeks from now, if the Guardians are still in this space where they're 4 games out of a wild card, even whatever, and they're a little under 500 or even at 500,
you punt then.
If somebody blows you away for a Class A offer, you have to make that trade.
I agree. If you're, and this could go either way. You're right. I just like waiting. It is going to be a mad dash. That last couple hours before the deadline is when things are going to get done.
Yes.
Obviously, they're listening to offers right now for Clase because he is the piece, and there are so many teams in the mix.
Yeah.
There might be a team that might say to themselves, we're a closer away. So you might be able to ratchet up the price for him. I think his value is less than it was a year ago for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, you have to ask yourself this. Do you believe that his value is going to continue to diminish? So if it does, then the whole idea is, buy low, sell high.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, maybe you would move him right now. But I like waiting. And if I'm Stephen Vogt, here's the conversation I'm having during the All-Star break. Give us 10 days. Give us 10 days.
Yeah, sure.
If you want to, but don't make your decision today.
Yeah.
And the reason is our first 10 games, we could go 7-3. I think that's a wipe sound effect, Bull. That's what we're hearing.
I kept wondering what that was.
Is that a jet flying over?
He keeps forgetting that we're on TV right now.
Jay was like, I better straighten him out already.
I've seen you do it a couple times.
I'm like, what's happening?
So if you go 7-3
to
start the second half of the season, the importance of that is now you're 13-4 over your last 17. Yeah. You're going in the right direction. You're not going to pull the plug out of the bottom of the boat if you're going in the right direction.
No,
so
but
give me 10 days.
I would just hate for them to make the wrong decision based on a 2 weeks. Now, the Houston series, very impressive what they did against a very Houston team.
That's what turned my mind around.
Right. But since then, these are all bad teams.
Chicago, they're supposed to crush.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now listen, is it crazy for me to think that you're dealing from a position of strength in terms of Clase?
Yes.
So if you
think that's a crazy thought?
No, I don't think it's crazy. I agree with you.
I think that's very much the way things are.
If I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, well, listen, even if we move him, who's to say that we won't perform just as well with
that's correct.
What we have?
Well, yeah, but you're still losing a great arm out of the ball.
Absolutely.
Could you move Kate Smith into that role and not miss a beat? All likelihood, yes.
Right, but you're still thinner in the pen. Either
but now
way.
You've got one fewer arm, and what do they always say? The bullpen is tired.
Yes.
But
could you foresee a situation where you move him and you get a top bat? You get a bat where you say, you know what? This guy, we
not
feel
a proven bat.
Yeah, you're going to get a young bat that's expected. Like you mentioned, the Cubs. They've got a bunch of those guys.
I'll take a young power bat.
I will too.
I would love to see that.
What they did last night in the draft was Jace Lavalette.
Yeah, he's huge.
Like, he's massive. But he's a swing for power, and I don't care if I strike out.
Out of character for them.
That is a complete different point on their horizon.
Yes.
If that comes across my screen, I'm like, oh, this is crazy. I like this guy. That means
it's different from anything they've done.
Yes. I'll say this about the potential of trading Clase. I think the Guardians, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're in a very good situation here. You have when you have a big trade chip and you have desperate big market teams,
desperate teams,
and a lot of them.
You're
a lot of them.
Yeah. Now the Yankees have been playing like crap for a month.
They're out of first place.
They got no closer.
Right?
Devin Williams was supposed to be their answer. He's been mostly pretty bad.
I agree.
The Cubs, you would say, well, why are they desperate? They're going to make the playoffs. They're having a great season. But here's the thing.
Well, they're thinking about winning it, not make the playoffs.
Right. And Kyle Tucker, their best hitter, they have a great lineup, but he's their best.
Right. He's
a free agent at the end of the year. I don't know if they're going to sign him. He's going to be a $500 million player. They should sign him, but I don't know if they will.
My God.
They made that trade. When you make a trade for Kyle Tucker in the beginning of the year, you've said you're all in.
Yeah, this year.
So now the Cubs bullpen coming into the season was a major weakness. It has surprisingly been very good. And his kid they got closing who came out of nowhere has been very good. But you'd much rather have an Emmanuel Clase.
Yes.
Without a doubt. The Cubs are going to want him. The Yankees are going to want him. The Blue Jays, we don't think of them as a big market team.
Oh, they're really.
No, they're
playing well.
They spend, too.
They spend when they need to.
And they're in first place.
And what do they got problems? In the bullpen. Mm-hmm. So you've got three teams, Cubs, Yankees, and Blue Jays, big market, really want to win right now.
And that drives the price up.
And now, the Yankees farm system, decent. Blue Jays is good. The Cubs is very good.
Great.
And now the Tigers have a great farm system, but I can't imagine the Guardians would.
I don't think they would. I don't think they would send him to Detroit. I'd be shocked if they did.
I don't count out the Dodgers on anything, and they still got a great farm system too.
Well, but let me ask you this: when we talk about the fact that you're trying to project, that's what you're doing. You're looking at where things are on July 14th and where they're going to be at the end of the month.
Yeah.
To me, I think the entire wild card in all of this happens tomorrow. I want to see how Shane Bieber does.
Yeah, sure.
I really want to see how he does because Trevor Stephan has had his he pitched in Columbus, I think, yesterday.
Yeah.
He got blasted.
Yep.
He's coming back from Tommy John.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that the Guardians were very much looking at as we can get him at August 1st, after the All-Star break, somewhere in there.
Right.
I don't know now. I don't think you bring him up after that.
No,
you probably
not.
want to give him another outing in AAA Columbus.
Yeah.
But if Bieber, I look back, this is so maddening to me. Bieber, when he tore his Tommy John, his UCL, he was 2-0,
He was lights out.
With a 0 ERA and had 20 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was untouchable in his first 2 starts, and he did that with a bum elbow. I remember when they took him out after his second start, he was upset.
Yeah.
At the time, I thought,
A's, right?
I think so. At the time, I thought, oh, he's mad because he wants to stay in the game. I think at that point he knew, my elbow, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So, and I don't, obviously you don't expect him to come back that good. There's going to be a transition, but if he pitches well tomorrow and they bring him up in just say a week or even make it 2 weeks, and he throws once before the trade deadline and gives you a Shane Bieber start.
Yeah.
He also gives you hope because now with a front of the rotation guy who's an ace Cy Young caliber pitcher.
Yeah.
Now you have to look at everything differently.
Well,
because you don't have that guy right now.
Okay. And throw in the fact that there's 2 sides of that. Let's say he does pitch before the trade deadline. You could trade him too.
You could. That's true.
I mean, I don't know what his trade value is going to be off of one start.
I don't either. And he's got a club option for next year. I think $16 million.
Yeah. Which if he's healthy and pitches well the last 2 months, there's no way he picks that up.
No, because there'll be someone that'll say, "Well, we'll take a 1 or 2 year flyer on him. We'll give him $30 million or $20 million for year 1 and another club option for year 2."
I mean, Matthew Boyd, who didn't have anywhere close to the track record of Bieber, got 2 years. 30-something million for the Cubs. I mean, he'd get more than that.
And that's what Bieber got with the Guardians, but he had a torn ACL. They knew he was going to be on the shelf for at least the first half of this season.
It's fascinating because of their schedule, but ultimately they've put themselves in this bad situation by being unable to develop hitters and unwilling to at least give some of these guys. Now DeLauder's banged up again.
So to speak to that, if they do get back into it and they're within reach of the wild card, does that mean it's more likely that they bring those guys up or less likely they bring young hitters up because they want to go with veterans down the stretch and race?
I think
you're going to bring them up no matter what.
I think so. I think at some point you got to bring them up.
I mean,
I think they're going to move on from Santana one way or the other.
I do too.
I think they should, and Manzardo was homered 2 days in a row.
I know.
Listen, I mean, he's not a perfect player, but he's still really young, and he's still been overall more good than bad. In this lineup, you'll take it because he's many holes.
The game they lost, though, to Chicago.
Yeah, I know the errors were terrible.
The errors were terrible. Then with the bases loaded and 1 out, just hit the ball to the outfield. He rounds into the double play.
I hear you, but you know what? He's a young player.
I get it.
And defensively, when you take a young player and make him DH all the time, it's hard to stay sharp at first.
It is.
That's a tricky situation. But
if you had to bet right now, do you think that there's greater than 50% chance that they're buyers or sellers? Which is more likely?
Definitely sellers. I don't think they're going to be buyers. I think they're either going to be neutral or sellers.
Yeah.
But I think I'll be surprised if Santana's not gone. But I hear you. I mean, if they get off to a nice run in the second, after the All-Star break.
Yeah, it's going to be, to me, it's going to be really hard. I know they went 0-10 in that stretch, so it counts. Just like the 6-1 over their last 7. But gosh, if you even just played 500 in that stretch where you're 0-10, you're in a wild card spot right now.
Yeah, but
you're in a wild card spot.
Just their offense is just so
terrible.
Bad for the most
Bull,
part.
I've never seen worse.
It's
I know
horrible.
that sounds like hyperbole.
Yeah.
I have never seen an offense as anemic as this one. You get past the 4 or 5 hitter, and you got a bunch of 170, 180, 185, 190. Wow. It's unbelievable.
They look like a lineup from the mid 80s. Where you had those lineups where it was just no power, just guys and back then 225 was low because guys were hitting for more average.
Yeah. We have too many guys averages who start with a 1.
I mean, it's crazy.
It's hard to comprehend. Rocchio, I thought maybe Rocchio would turn things around after you spend time in AAA after living life large in the MLB. Yeah. Sometimes that wakes a guy up. He's been okay.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anything that's made me say, okay, that's October Rocchio. No. That's the guy I want.
Yeah.
But
no,
I just don't see it.
It's frustrating that none of these guys, like all these hyped prospects, and maybe it'll be the same with DeLauder and Kafis, who knows?
Could be.
We've heard about Rocchio. We've heard about Arias. We heard about Bo Naylor.
What's Pizzana's issue? He's supposed to be
still
close.
Hurt. Yeah, but
I thought he was close,
he's
right?
getting close to coming back.
What a shame. He's in year 2, and he's probably played
barely
60 minor league games. Because he didn't start last year till after the draft.
Yeah,
so it would have been this time last year. He played, the rest of the season. But
right. Yeah, I really, the one that bothers me the most, even though he's not their best prospect, is that Tyvis has just been so good the whole season.
I don't
He
understand.
started the year in AA. He goes to AAA. I understand. Around the league, it's kind of, the word is that the gap between AAA and the majors has never been bigger.
Yeah.
But if you're giving all these other guys an opportunity, why not? There's so many zeros in their lineup. It's just so frustrating.
I just believe if you're a mid-market team and you don't have the money to spend, I don't think it's a luxury you can afford. You have to do that. You have to be the team that gives guys opportunity. You can't be skittish about that.
And at this point, it's not even like a contract thing. It's not even, we're into July. By the time the All-Star break's over, we're, late July. Like, I just don't see the point of continuing to wait. I guess they feel like these guys are not ready, and maybe they're not. And maybe they'll come up here and stink. But, man, it's frustrating. It is just, as a fan, to sit and watch the lineup make out after out after out. And obviously they've been better the last week. Jose was just on fire this week. He stole a base every 10 seconds over the last 2 days.
Man, I wish I could just have he's never going to sit down with anybody and do the interview, but I just like to ask him, hey, man, you ever get frustrated with just being the only guy that's going to produce?
I don't think, Jay, to your point, Jay, and you have a good perspective on this. I don't think fans quite realize how hard it is to do what Jose does with no protection. I mean, at least when Naylor was here, he had some protection.
Yeah.
He's got no protection.
No.
Zero.
Like, I don't understand why, in a big spot, why you would ever pitch to Jose Ramirez.
I said that Friday.
Yeah.
So why would you pitch to this guy?
Why?
Who else in the lineup is going to hurt you?
No,
now,
nobody.
I know recently they got some home runs from guys that they haven't been getting home runs from.
Martinez,
and that helps.
yeah.
But when you look at the lineup, he's the guy that scares you. And what's amazing to me is he's having a great year, an all-star year. He's just at 50 RBI, Bull.
Right, because nobody
gets on base,
but that's
it.
Yeah.
I mean, to have a guy that is a bona fide superstar, I think he is.
Yeah.
I love the piece. I can't remember who sent it to our group chat. Maybe it was McNuggets. There was an outfit that asked who's the most underrated player in baseball. Some of the biggest, best players in the game said, "Oh, that's easy, Jose Ramirez."
I saw that video too.
Jose Ramirez is
almost everyone said that.
Tarek Skubal, Jose Ramirez is.
Yeah.
And then some of the guys rightly said this. They go, "Well, I'm going to say Jose Ramirez, but he's not. He's not underrated to me.
Not in the game, he's not underrated.
But amongst fans and the media, this is the guy who is a superstar.
Yeah.
Who's riding in an all-star vehicle.
Yeah, like part of that is he doesn't look like a superstar, like what we think of as a traditional superstar.
Not at all. He wasn't a top prospect.
Right.
Here's the other thing, and this is the only thing that I would counter all of that conversation with. He hasn't been good in October, and that's what everybody watches.
That's fair.
So why is he underrated? Because when everybody watches, he's been below average. Not even average. He's been below average.
He was okay earlier in his career.
He started fine.
But the last few years, he's been
awful.
Terrible in the playoffs.
When they had the left side of your infield with him and Lindor, boy, listen.
Oh, my God.
You just go back and watch that. You just knew what it was. Like, you're like, dude, we got two guys that are over there that could put up 30, 40 home runs.
I was
playing
Kipnis was on that team in 16.
Yeah.
So that they had the best of both worlds.
They don't have players like it's like every Guardians player, it's like they're all really good or they stink. There's like nobody in the middle.
No, I know.
Like Kipnis was an in the middle guy. He was a good solid player.
He'd be a star right now.
Oh yeah,
on that team, yes, he would.
On this squad,
he'd be the second best offensive option.
To your point on the Ramirez RBIs, I was talking with my friend. Shout out to my friend Hans, who's a massive Guardians fan. Like, obsessed. Doesn't even care about the Browns and Caps. Not interested. He only loves the Guardians.
All right.
And we were talking. We were just kind of joking around and. I was talking, we were trying to create a trade that would get Jose Ramirez traded to the Cubs. And I was coming up with all these.
Stop that nonsense.
I know. But it's just to put it, I said, can you imagine? Because the only weakness in the Cubs lineup is third base. That's the only weak spot. I said, can you imagine how many RBIs he would have in that Cubs lineup when the Cubs have 4 guys with over 50 ribbies right now?
Good Lord.
And they have 2 guys. Seiya Suzuki is either first or second in the majors in RBIs, didn't even make the All-Star team. So their first baseman's got a 950 OPS, didn't make the All-Star team. So I was like, oh my, and it just put into perspective, like
How good he is.
As good as his stats are, if he had a lineup
put him in the Yankees
him,
lineup once.
Yeah, well.
Put him in the Yankees lineup. Put him in the Cubs lineup. Put him in a lineup where there's
Dodgers.
Hey, I know what I wanted to ask you. Are you concerned that Judge, Ohtani, Ramirez, I don't know if there's others, are not going to play in the All-Star game?
Oh, I didn't know Judge wasn't playing. I hadn't heard that one.
I think I heard this morning that Judge just said he's not going to play. Ohtani's not playing.
Yeah.
Ramirez isn't playing.
I understand.
That's a red flag to me because I thought the best All-Star game was the Major League Baseball All-Star game.
And it still is by a lot.
There's nothing even close.
But you want your superstars to play.
I want to see Judge and I want to see Ohtani.
Yeah, I wonder why they're not. I mean, I know Jose's been a little banged up.
I hope we don't see this become a trend.
Yeah, because even in the home run derby, I'm not a big fan of the home run derby at this point.
I want to go watch it tonight.
You'd always get superstars in the home run derby. Like I want to see the big guy. I want to see Ohtani.
Sure.
I want to see Judge, Pete Alonso.
Yeah, Alonso.
But he's not doing it anymore.
No, I know he's not.
I just saw. This is funny y'all mentioned that. I just ran across a reel on the internet of Sammy Sosa in the home run derby, and this dude.
Oh my God.
I forget what year it was, but this dude was hitting the ball.
It's probably 99 or 2000.
And I think it might have been in Houston.
I'm not sure.
No, it was Milwaukee.
That makes sense.
Milwaukee, and he hit a ball out of the stadium. Like literally over the little.
It's like a commercial for steroids.
Like it's
when you watch those old reels, you're
like,
my God, what am I looking at?
I'm like, what is the ball was bouncing off his bat like it was a metal bat.
You know who went crazy? You know who went crazy bombs? And this guy did not take steroids, or at least I don't think so. And I knew him personally when he was in the low minors, so I don't think he took steroids.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Ryan Howard.
Ryan Howard.
I believe it was in San Francisco.
Bunyan, though. He was so big.
He was huge, even in A-ball. Like the kid was. He was a monster. He got better. You know, he was less flab and more muscle when he got into the majors, but he was always a big guy.
Right.
And I think it was in San Francisco that he was in the home run derby, hitting them way into the water. I mean, he was just destroying baseballs. Yeah. But it's too long. They stretch it out too long.
Yeah, home run derby used to be.
Hey, boy, real quick.
Huge.
Yeah.
Reading on the internet right now, Aaron Judge will not participate in the All-Star game this weekend, despite being voted as a starter.
Yeah.
He decided to remain in New York to rehab his injured toe.
Oh, that's why the toe. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
But you know what? Like, I'm not gonna judge how hurt a guy is. I'm not gonna do that. But it seems to me that like I'm for Hosey. I don't get Hosey. He's hitting the ball great. He's playing well. I mean, maybe he's just
tired.
Maybe he wants to break. I don't know. But when Ohtani and Ramirez and Judge all say, "Yeah, I'm gonna sit this one out,"
that's not good.
It sucks for me because my enthusiasm level for the game first of all, for me, it's about Judge and Ohtani. It's those two.
Yeah, I want to see those guys.
I want to see those guys on the same field, and I'll watch them play football.
Right. I want to see Ohtani pitch to Judge.
I do too. I would love that. Remember the moment we got in the WBC?
That was amazing.
With Trout at the bat, and the WBC Classic Championship is in the balance.
Yes.
That was to me one of those Ruthian moments that you read about, and that you would love to watch that. I want those wherever I can get them. And there was a possibility that we could have seen something like that in the All-Star game. Now it's gone.
I was listening to MLB radio yesterday, and I thought they made a good point too. Even like when we were kids, Jay, guys would stay in the game for 6-7 innings.
Absolutely.
Sometimes for the whole game.
Rarely, but there would be one or two guys that might for either team.
Now they're so worried about getting everybody in there that the starters come out after like three maybe innings. 2 at bats.
Yeah. Now, I'm okay with that too. I like to see all the players. I want to see the best players for a period of time.
Yeah.
I wish that you'd have the first 5 innings would be the best.
I want
the AL,
3 at bats from my
NL.
superstars.
Yeah, well, if you go 5 innings, you could get that far.
Yeah.
Usually, it's all about pitching in the All-Star games anyway.
Right, that's true.
And I want them wearing their jerseys. I want.
That was much better.
Like,
I don't
wear
know
your team's jersey.
Yeah, what are we going to get this year? Like neon green and pink. It's just like
I loved when they wear the Florida team jerseys.
I did too.
That was so much better.
I like that too.
Era where
that was awesome.
That was the era. Everybody watched, and so crazy. Everybody used to watch All-Star Weekend in Major League Baseball was the truth.
It was big.
By the way, another example of baseball getting in its own. You have 4 days here where there's nothing, right?
Yeah.
why do they do the draft on Sunday where there's still games going on? Why not do the draft on Wednesday?
I said the same thing.
Or you could do it Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, or you could do it. You wouldn't want to do it today because obviously the home run derby takes the spotlight today. But while baseball is on everybody's mind, you could do it the day after the All-Star break when everybody is looking at it. So you go from the All-Stars. They play a Future Stars game, I think.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, so here's the next Future Stars.
Right.
And
Wednesday, Thursday should have been the draft. I don't understand that.
And you know what? You could even do it at the site of the All-Star game and make it a 4-day extravaganza.
Have the kids there,
yes,
you know?
it'd be perfect.
That would be
they
awesome.
market themselves worse than all three.
They're so stupid.
They miss so many of these opportunities.
And it could have been an opportunity, and your young players could meet all the All-Stars. Like, that would be a cool interaction.
Put them all on the field for home run derby.
Yeah.
And just all the interactions to see, like, the next great thing.
Yeah.
Who's a high school kid out of Kansas stand there and talk to Judge. That'd be like, that visual really becomes impactful if 10 years down the road he becomes the next Aaron Judge and say, remember when they met on the field at the All-Star game?
Marketing, they don't get it. Little League World Series, it's massive. They put it on TV, so people will watch people play. Softball is massive. And for Kool-Aid drinkers like myself, I'm always looking to hype up a young dude that has done nothing.
Right.
Like, let me find out the top 5. I'm like, oh, listen, I want this guy right here. Like, but we don't know. They don't do enough educating the fan base on, hey, this is when it is, this is how it goes. And I think they're missing an opportunity.
I agree.
I mean, you know how big a baseball fan I am. We were taking my son to camp. He's going to sleepaway camp for 5 days. So we were out even further east from here in like Amish country. Yeah. And we stopped at this place for dinner at before we dropped him off at 5:30. And we're eating dinner. I'm like, oh, the baseball draft's going on. Like, I forgot it was going on.
Well, it's because they don't market it well.
I mean, crazy.
They don't market it well.
If I, a diehard baseball fan, didn't realize it was going on, casual fans have no clue.
And Bull, here's the thing, too. The iron is hot. College baseball ratings are higher than they've ever been. They're putting more games on TV. And now it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year when ESPN is out of the MLB business. If they're smart, they're going to just go all in on college baseball, and they'll have a big game every single night on one.
And and what you're seeing is guys get from college baseball to the big leagues quicker. Mm-hmm. And so now like Jack Caglione of the Royals, and he's struggling. But
140.
People knew his name.
Yeah.
Because he just played college ball.
Yeah.
And I get it. He's struggling. A lot of the rookies are struggling. And that could, again, same thing with the Guardians. But I think it's good to have name recognition from the rookies.
Well, it brings excitement to the Royals organization when they called him up. Now, obviously, he was a top 5 draft pick. Yeah. Everybody knew who he was. But everybody knew who he was because college baseball has a bigger presence today
100%.
than it did even 5 years ago. Yes. So Major League Baseball, please get your marketing organization in shape because it's horrible right now.
One last thing before we pivot to LeBron James. Shohei Ohtani actually announced that he won't pitch in the All-Star game.
Oh, he's going to play, though.
He will be the National League's designated hitter Tuesday in Atlanta.
Okay, I had heard he would opt it out.
Yeah, I'm looking at an article on MLB.com that was posted yesterday.
Okay, good.
And I need him to have 4 at-bats.
5. No chance.
No, not today.
Oh, come on, he's a DH.
That's true.
You should let him know.
Give him 3.
Shohei Ohtani is batting 3 times.
By the way, that's the one moment fans want to watch. Yeah, they want to see Ohtani bat on the big stage, period.
Big facts. All right, listen, real quick.
Let me just mention one thing real quick. I think Jay will get a kick out of this. You know how I mentioned a little bit ago that the Cubs bullpen has been surprisingly good?
Yeah.
You know who one of those guys who's been absolutely lights out in the Cubs bullpen?
No.
Drew Pomeranz.
Oh, I've seen that. Listen, here's how long it's been since I heard that name.
Pomeranz.
When I saw a box score Pomeranz, and I'm like, that can't be Drew Pomeranz.
Yeah.
And I went and clicked, and his face came up on his stats, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's got a career resurgence.
He hadn't pitched in a couple of years.
I know. I thought he was done and gone.
He's given up a run in 1 appearance this season.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
I heard his name since Jeff Shamarja.
Yeah, Jeff, that's the one. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead, Earl.